Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. This week, we are going to check in on a few very important Kentucky political stories, a bit of a police blotter story, political blotter, police blotter, I don't know. And then we got a really happy news story, which, we don't always have, so that's great. And then this week, we're thrilled to continue our Kentucky Senate primary series of interviews. We're going to speak with Dale Romans, complete the superfecta. Is that what I think what it is? So should be a heck of a show. Damn glad you're with us. But before we get into it, let's go ahead and check in with our co-hosts, who you are, where you are, and who is on your BITIN list. Let's do BITIN list this week. So I'm Aaron, and I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. And this week, just today, primarily, I've got Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito on my BITIN list. So SCOTUS took, as anticipated, took down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act this week, really wreaking havoc across the nation's congressional districts, likely cutting out 20 majority black districts. And in the 6-3 majority opinion, Justice Alito wrote that none of the historical evidence presented by plaintiffs came close to showing an objective likelihood the state's challenged map was the result of intentional racial discrimination. This is, it's Louisiana was the test case. They have, I think, over 30% of their population is black, and they have one congressional seat that is, kind of majority minority. And it's like so clearly, plainly, discriminatory. But the guy, you don't see what you want to. You can't see what you don't want to see, I suppose, but really just disgusting. Anyway, so not to bring it down too much, but really is, I think, a horrific decision that's going to have be like a political kind of earthquake throughout the political landscape. Anyway, Kim, are you there? You got something better to share with us?
I don't know if it's so much better, okay. But on my BITIN list tonight, as I come from Louisville, Kentucky, right here, Jefferson County, which I want to say the largest county in Kentucky out of 120, and also home to most of the U.S. Senate candidates on the Democratic side. So we got it going on here in Louisville. On my BITIN list tonight, I want to say Erika Kirk. Okay, she is still out here dragging the comedian Drewski and dragging Candace Owens. I am no fan of Candace Owens. We have no affinity except for the color of our skin. Other than that, there is no similarities whatsoever. But the way that Erika Kirk is doing it, I think that she needs to take off all that makeup. She wears so much makeup. You could take it off and roll it and make biscuits. And I think that it's clouding her judgment because Drewski only did a skit looking like her, which he honestly looked like the movie White Girls with the Wayans brothers. But he did jokes on her, never said her name. Candace Owens is talking about her, telling the truth about a lot of things that she knows. So Erika Kirk needs to just stay out of the mix and, kind of go a little bit more natural with the makeup.
Here on Kernels of Truth. Yeah, I think that's hilarious. I mean, I don't really know. I didn't really care how the right attacks each other, but it is whatever, man. And I did see a little bit of this
wrong. She's doing Drewski wrong. He makes fun of everybody.
Yeah.
Most of the mega preachers were mad at him because
it's like you made it, girl. Drewski made fun of you, like, come on, accept take the win, right? Don't get, I don't know, this whole class.
I would be honored. I wish Drewski would make fun of me. I would just be honored.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for that one. It's a good one. NATO, what do you got?
Hey, folks. NATO Ershan coming live and direct from Kits in my house here in South Frankfurt. And, I guess, Aaron, I'm with you. You can have Alito. I'm going to bite the other 5 justices who, just overturned the Voting Rights Act, essentially. Yeah,
That,
and it's going to have just immediate and tremendous ramifications in terms of other, conservative states just ignoring decades and decades of corrections, in terms of their district drawing. They were smart. The Republicans, the ultra conservatives, they kept harping on, let's do whatever we can to stack the Supreme Court, and of course Mitch McConnell bears a lot of responsibility. So I guess Senator McConnell would be on my betting list too.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, the pride of Kentucky. If the right wingers get their goal and get that statue of him in the rotunda again. Yep. I still haven't done it. I intend to do it. I am going to start an online petition to reject the Mitch McConnell statue and instead place Martha Wayne Collins statue. Because give me a break. Hey. Who meant more to this state? And also, isn't Met still vaguely alive? Like, what shouldn't you just wait till somebody's dead before you do something like that type of an honorific?
Yeah, if you want to be technical about it.
He's technically alive.
I call all three of my members of Congress every day. These days I'm just asking them to get rid of Trump. And McConnell, it's always a message that I have to leave, and I just do it like screaming into the void, under the hope that it's actually someone is tallying it on the other end. I don't know, but
yeah, I don't think someone's answered the phone in Mitch McConnell's office since, I don't know, the Obama administration. Like they're like, yeah, we just don't really do that anymore. We don't really care what people tell us or want to tell us, constituents or else otherwise, unless there's like, a $15,000 check, attached to it, I guess. That guy's gross. All right. Hey, so should we talk about the news?
Maybe. Are we supposed to be getting involved?
Oh, right. Yeah. Maybe I'll look at the run-up show. How about that? How about I keep my eyes on the run-up show from time to time? All right. Fine.
Oh, Dr. Clarity. He's in the chat.
Oh, yay.
He's watching from Murray.
All right, we are. I love Dr. Clarity. Thanks for watching. All right, so now we are under a month out from the primary election, which is Tuesday, May 19th. We're spreading that info. We got to flip the 6 candidates page that Parker put together. Really great. In case you're looking like, wait, who am I supposed to pick from? I honestly think we're really fortunate to have 4 such fantastic candidates in the hunt here in Lexington and the 15 counties surrounding us. They've all got great arguments to make for your vote. But to my eyes, of course, May isn't the most critical election. It's all about November. And to flip this district is going to require everything and everyone going our way. So your help really is critical. Time, treasure, postage, positive vibes. We really need it all. We'd love to have you join us on our monthly volunteer night. So on the first Monday of the month, we've been doing a meeting at West 6 Brewing's Barrel Room here in Lexington. And so it's just next Monday. We're going to be joined by Willie Carver Jr., who's, of course, a longtime friend of Progress Kentucky. He was a frequent guest, occasional co-host on Kernels of Truth. He was here recently discussing his new book, Tore All to Pieces. Said some really insightful stuff about how and why rural communities in Kentucky have kind of turned against the Democratic Party and turned towards Trump. So we're going to have a bit of a chat about that, hear from his book, which really does tell caring and authentic stories of Eastern Kentucky folks. Then we're going to crank out a ton of postcards to these critical voters we've identified. We've got 20,000 voters we're trying to reach. We've made it. We're closing in on 10,000 postcards, so getting close to the halfway mark, which is awesome. But I really hope you'll make plans to join us on Monday in Lexington. We're also we're going to kind of crank it up and do a couple events a month. So we're going to also do like an election watch party on May 19th, which is the primary, and we'll be at Wise Bird Cider and also doing postcards that night as well. So lots of opportunities to get involved. But it's only because we got to get lots of postcards done. We want them all finished, and we can mail out these handwritten postcards to these most important voters. Again, 20,000 most important voters who tend to not show up at midterm elections. We think if they show up, they'll probably do what we'd want them to do, but we're going to start a conversation with them through the survey that is on the postcards we're mailing out. and then do a kind of a full program of engaging with as many of these voters as we can kind of hunt down. Anyway, it's a great campaign. We need your resources. We need your support. If you want to donate, that would be awesome. But we also have the Monday night event on Mobilize, so you can join us that way. All right. One more get involved opportunity, one more call to action. So May Day Strong is coming up. What are you doing on Friday, folks? How about taking part in the 104th annual commemoration of the Haymarket riots in Chicago? If you are tired of the billionaire Epstein class getting away with everything while the working class gets the scraps, you really should join the May Day Strong events that are happening all across the country. In Lexington, unions and local groups are uniting.
Aaron, can you hear me?
LIUNA, the Teamsters, United Campus Workers, Central Kentucky Building Trades, Bluegrass Central Labor Council, as well as the community groups that pulled together No Kings. So 5051, Bluegrass Access Alliance, Gathering for Democracy, Peaceful Bluegrass Resistance, Abolish Slavery Kentucky, us, and we're joining with over 1,000 cities nationwide that are organized with this May Day Strong movement to demand workers over billionaires. And we're going to feature labor leaders sharing their current efforts to protect and advance better working conditions and better compensation, including efforts for increased accountability and transparency at the Fayette County School District, which if you've been reading the news, you'll know that they are having massive financial problems, had to take out a loan to make payroll because they have had just huge problems with being honest in their books. So that's something that AFT has been like harping on for quite some time, and want an agreement, a collective bargaining agreement, so they can open up the books. And then also we're going to hear from folks who are organizing at the University of Kentucky for efforts to reject efforts for increased privatization and long-term contracts. And then the event's going to also have a teach-in on Martin Luther King Jr. and his work with unions from local teachers. There's a community art project from Gathering for Democracy, and folks, some labor songs, one of which is going to be brought to us from by our own NATO. NATO, what are you going to sing?
I am going to be singing a version of Which Side Are You On? Which was actually written by a Kentucky woman whose name I should know off the top of my head and don't. But Which Side Are You On is this very famous pro-union anthem made famous by a lot of singers such as Pete Seeger. I want to say Woody Guthrie did it too. But the song has had legs, as they say, because it's been parodied or adapted by various activists over the decades. I was looking up about it last night. There's just all these different versions, and everyone just sort of does the same song, but to the civil rights or such and such a movement, and it's really peppy, and
yeah.
I'm looking forward to singing with all.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome song. I'm sure folks have heard it. This audience, I'm sure, really cool. Our friend Deborah Girth actually revised some of the lyrics to make it a little more like timely, which is awesome. And so, yeah, if you want to hear NATO, get there early because he's got to get on the road. So we're starting this event at 4:30 on Friday. Make sure to be there on time. We've got a Mobilize link we're going to throw in the chat right here. Louisville is doing the May Day Festival with AFL-CIO and 5051. Theirs, I think, starts even earlier. So we'll put that one in the chat and the show notes. And there's, other great events happening throughout our Commonwealth and really across the country. Like I said, over 1,000 events happening, which is awesome. There's a map, which the search function is questionable, but I'm sure you can find the one that's closest to you. All right. So that's a long take action and get involved, because there's a lot of things that are going on right now, people, and we need you to not just look at your phone, but to do the things, to get involved, to go out in your community and make a difference. So hope you'll take advantage of as many of those as fit your vibe and fit your calendar. So all right, now should we do news of the week?
Well, one other thing that just came to my mind.
All right.
We had some internet difficulty just a moment ago. See, if Kamala Harris was in office, Joe Biden's initiative for everybody to have great internet service would still be going on today. You have not heard anything in this administration. You have not heard anything from our state talking about getting the internet service for everyone. Where did that go? It just, Biden left and it was over. I don't know, but we need great internet service. That's something that needs to be happening again.
For sure. Yeah. The Kentucky, is it Connected? What is it called? I don't remember.
Connect. I
Yeah.
don't know.
But that wasn't that's also the healthcare program.
Yeah, that's the health
Kentucky Wired.
Yeah.
Kentucky
Okay,
Wired.
yeah,
We covered it. There's been
Yeah.
some issues. It's not as easy as people thought it was going to be, apparently. And apparently the corporations they've been contracting with aren't fantastic either. So, yeah, it's been a challenge. And but I live in Lexington, so I don't really know what's wrong with my internet. I just blame Spectrum. Anyway, all right, so news of the week. Shall we do it, people?
We can go ahead on
teased it a few times now.
News of the week.
All right, you got the first one, Kimberly.
Oh boy. You would make me first. It really pains my heart to bring this story. However, here on Kernels of Truth, we believe in being fair. We believe in telling the truth and reporting from respectable and verified, places, such as the Courier-Journal, which is the newspaper here in Louisville, as well as connected with USA Today. Because my billing was Courier-Journal. Now my billing says USA Today. Well, in my own district here in Louisville, in the 44th district for our representatives, currently, our state representative is Beverly Chester Burton, whom I know personally. She used to be the mayor of a small city here, which I live in, called Shively. And she went on underneath a semi-pseudo type of endorsement from Joni Jenkins, who was previously the minority leader of the House in Frankfort. And she became the state representative. Beverly did. And during these 2 tenures, she received DUIs, which we all know is not becoming to a state representative at all. And we have 3 candidates here in the 44th district. And all 3 on the Democratic ticket have criminal records from the year of 2019 to now, 2026, which is concerning. And I hate to even say anything that anybody can construe as negative about the Democratic Party or anyone like that. But I feel pretty confident to bring you this story tonight because there is no Republican to go against them. So it's going to be one of them. So we've got 3 candidates and all of them have these criminal records. Now in the state of Kentucky, if you have a felony, you cannot run for office. So most of these have been amended down as misdemeanors or time served or whatever the case may be, but they're not showing up as felonies. Now we have Beverly Chester Burton, as I said, is our current state representative. Then we have Kenya Wade, who has done tremendous things in the community, started a whole organization because her daughter had been around in the wrong place at the wrong time when there was some gunfire. So she's an advocate for gun safety and gun laws and things of this nature. But when she was I guess you could call a social worker at a prison right here in Kentucky, she made friends with a particular inmate, which is widely not to do. You could get fired for that, but she was having conversations with this particular inmate who was known as a serial rapist, basically, and she was having phone X with him when she was at home. So she was ultimately fired. Ultimately charges were placed against her. But she also went back and sued the prison for racial discrimination and some things like that. But she only was awarded $5,000. And after you pay the attorney, I doubt if you have anything left. And then the third candidate that looks amazing on paper, and young man, great young man, basically. And his name is Justin. And Justin Slaw has had his run-in with the law as well. Back in February of last year, just last year, he was arrested and pled guilty to domestic violence against his wife, which I now think is his ex-wife. And he looks so good on paper. He was an Afghanistan, veteran, stationed over in South Korea. He's on so many different nonprofit boards. He is also an attorney. He looks so good on paper, but he did plead guilty to this particular domestic violence charge, which concerns me. So as a voter in the 44th district, and all I have is 3 people that I consider recent run-ins with the law. And they're not just, I didn't have tags, I didn't have my insurance up to date. This is basically very, very hard for us in the 44th district. Representative Beverly Chester Burton says her voting record and what she's done, and people can't continue to live in the past. Justin Slaw, let's keep this private between myself and my wife at the time. Kenya Wade, look at what I'm doing in the community. But still, a lot of people are saying that, and also I see a comment here, they're saying the ballot is like Louisville's most wanted, which is very embarrassing to me. I could have ran. I haven't had a record of doing anything but doing young stuff in college before I was 24 years of age, and I'm 58 years old now. But how are we supposed to feel about representation from people that have such recent criminal records? Who do we vote for? Who do we put our trust in? Because it's going to be one of the 3, because there is no Republican. Hey, Aaron and Nate and our listeners and viewers, let us know, what would you do if you were in the same quagmire as myself right now? Who do I vote for?
Yeah, I got an idea. I think we're writing you in. We're going to write in Kimberly Cecil Jones.
Yeah, write me in, buddy. Write me in. Write me in.
Yeah, what is going on in Louisville? Like, your primary ballots are going to have a lot of, well, I guess Daniel Grossberg hasn't been charged with anything, right?
Yeah.
He just got, 86 lifetime ban from a strip club, but I don't think that was because of charges.
Who cares? He can go to another strip club. There's like 15 of them on the same road.
Good point. Wait a minute. So there's some questionable options on the primary ballots in Louisville.
What would you do, though? What would you do? We know it's questionable. We know it's crazy. But how does someone like me and all of the other 45,000 people that are registered to vote in the 44th district, what are we to do? And you know what I feel like? I feel like I would not have even put my name in the hat if I had a current criminal record, should I say a current mugshot, okay? I would not put myself out there. But also, don't you think this stems from the top and rolls down? The bar is so low with Trump, a president with 34 felonies, that is trickled all the way down to our state politics. What would you do?
This is the great age of shamelessness, right? From top to bottom, and that unfortunately leaves its mark even on smaller races like this, so to speak. But I'll tell you what, I don't know if I would vote for Representative Chester Burton or Ms. Wade, but I would not vote for Mr. Slaw, because domestic violence is just like, if you're accused of that, that's that's really that's a few levels above most of
the other two,
stuff.
like, very much. I mean, that is horrible, and then we're not like ranking them, but they all like show really horrible judgment.
Oh yeah,
And that's part of like what you're electing is somebody who could bring good judgment to situations, which they have failed time and time again. Anyway, hey, we should move on because I've got a story I really want to cover, and I also know that we're very excited to talk with our guest in a few minutes. So, story number 2, and this is again a much more positive story than Kimberly brought us. This story comes to us from our beloved Kentucky Lantern. And it is about a bill that the governor signed this week. And it is Governor Beshear signed Senate Bill 37 on Monday, which makes rescue dogs and cats the official state pets and names the Treeing Walker Coonhound the official breed of Kentucky. So this is amazing because it's taken a minute. And with Beshear's signature, the 7-year advocacy journey for Ethan Branscombe ends. The Frankfurt teenager who is 13. He's been doing it for 7 years and he's 13. He has been pushing to honor rescue pets through this bill, through making them the official pet of Kentucky since he was 6 years old. We had him on the show. It might have been the first year, but I don't wait. How long have we been doing this? Maybe it's like maybe the second or third year he sought the bill.
I remember him. He has grown up. He's so cute.
Yeah, kind of like shocking, right? That so he's going to high school and we're still doing the show. But very exciting that he got this bill across the finish line. You see in the picture there, the original champion was Joe Gravis, and I think Erika
Hancock.
Thank you. Yeah, Erika Hancock, your rep, got it across the finish line and attached it to that moving bill, which I think was the Treeing Walker Coonhound bill. So really exciting. Congratulations to Ethan. So glad to have, that you got this. And he said, quote, "I feel very accomplished right now." And he said he hopes the new law will help raise awareness about the many shelter animals in need of adoption, which it legit will. I think, that's the type of thing that really does get people's attention. And we know there's overcrowding in Kentucky's shelters right now. So, get yourself a rescue pet. I tell you what, we've only rescued pets and couldn't be more pleased with the pets we have in our household and our furry family. So get you to a humane society if you need to bring on another furry family member, which everyone needs another furry family member. I think just go get one right now. Why not?
I want my tree. Did you get my tree?
I do have a tree for you. If you watched last week, you remember I was plugging Lexington giving away trees. I do have a tree, Kimberly, if you want it.
I do.
You're going to come to Lexington and get it.
Yes, I have to beg somebody to bring me there just so I can get my tree. And I'll call that tree the Kernel of Truth tree.
Oh.
So anyone want to weigh in on Ethan getting this bill across the finish line?
Bring him back on the show.
We should probably have him back on the show. We shouldn't talk about it. He should talk about it. He did it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, got to take a minute to celebrate the little victories.
Yes.
That's a big one, though. That was a big one. I remember when he was on the show, he was so young, but he had like an old soul to him. And he was very, very ambitious about it. And, God talks about we need to have like that attitude of a child. When we were children, we believed what we believed and we were consistent in that belief. I believed in Santa Claus until my uncle told me there was no Santa Claus, So he was just different and special. Bring him back. Bring him back.
He was so young. He is still so young. And it was yet it was still a long fight. Amazing. All those things can be true.
Yeah, he run in the 44th district.
Maybe in a couple years.
He is not legally able to. But all right, should we move on? Can we do that? Because I am really excited to chat with our next guest. It was, as I mentioned at the top, finishing our run of Senate candidates that we have talked to kind of week after week after week, which I think we're doing you a service because we need to know who's on the top of the ballot here in Kentucky. And so our final installment is Dale Romans, who of course is kind of he might push back on this characterization, but of a political newcomer in terms of being in front of the voters. But I thought very appropriate that it's Derby week, and we've got Dale Romans coming on to talk. Thanks for taking time off the campaign trail, and thanks for taking time out of your Derby schedule. I got to imagine you got a lot of things to do during Derby week. How are you doing, sir? Can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. But, thanks for having me tonight. And Kimberly, it's good to see you again after almost 40 years.
Oh, Dale, don't tell everybody how old we are,
Yeah.
but we still looking good.
We just
So,
discovered we went to high school. Yes.
What high school did you two go to?
Butler High School in Shively, Kentucky. So I was class of 1984. Kimberly was 1985.
He's spilling all the tea.
Yes.
What else? What can you tell us about Kimberly in high school? What kind of trouble did she get into?
Oh man,
She ran to school. You all should know she ran to school.
that I believe.
Everybody knew Kimberly. Didn't matter what class you were in.
Are you a Shively voter still? Do you want to weigh in on your primary choices? Did you hear us cover that story earlier?
I did not, and to tell you the truth, I'm not up to. I've been spending so much time on my own race. I'm not up to speed with the Shively's, but Shively makes good decisions. We have good politicians.
Well, you were faced with a lot of poor options. Apparently, all three of the candidates for your ballot in Shively for the state house seat have recent run-ins with the law and have, in fact, pretty significant arrest records. Sorry about that.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, but it's Lively Shively. It's got a name for a reason.
All right. So we're going to get into some questions about the race, but the first question I got to ask you, because you're here, sir, and I have my betting app open and ready to go. Who should I bet on for the Kentucky Derby?
Oh, Bill Mott's a good friend. He was a hero of mine growing up. I'm going to stick with him. He won it last year with Chief Wallaby. He's a good horse, and I haven't seen a standout this year. Last year, I thought Sovereignty was just a standout by some trains. But this year, I really haven't seen one. So I would dig around in there and get a horse with a little price on him, and I think Chief Wallaby would be my pick.
Nice. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. He wins, you got to vote for me.
If he comes in, we'll talk about it. I will say this. All right. So what makes you? I guess the question that everyone's on everyone's mind about the Senate race is: can an actual Democrat win something that's not been done since Well, I guess you guys are out of high school, but it's in that same kind of that same era since Wendell Ford in 1992. Can a Democrat win? And anticipating your answer, why do you think you're the candidate to do it and make that history?
I think a Democrat can definitely win. And we've shown it in this state that our governor won a statewide race twice, and his father won a statewide race twice. It's a fickle state. Everybody calls it red, but even though Frankfurt's red, it seems like the governor's mansion is majority of the time is a blue mansion. And there's going to be a blue wave this year, and the right kind of Democrat can win, I believe, in the state of Kentucky. But we talk about this 40-year thing. That's true, but we had two juggernauts in Washington, in Mitch McConnell and Jim Bunning, for all those years. And so they weren't going to get voted out. There wasn't an opportunity for a Democrat really to step in until Rand Paul ran. And, he came in with the name and the machine and the money and overpowered the candidate and ended up our senator. So I think the right kind of Democrat can win this state. And I think I'm the right one, or I wouldn't be running.
Excellent. Nate?
Yes. Welcome to the show. So I guess you come from a background that is very appealing to a lot of Kentuckians, right? And your life story is kind of wrapped up in sort of one of the mythic industries of the Commonwealth. What what do you think you bring to the table that would appeal to people who aren't sort of in that set, who don't follow the horses and don't necessarily know about your history with all that? What, like a blue collar worker from Eastern Kentucky.
Well,
what do you say to them?
what I say that some of the training that I've received in my industry of solving problems, which if you run a big stable, I've had as many as 250 horses and 150 employees, there's a lot of problems. And I learned how to work with my competition all the time. I mean, the people I'm competing with in the afternoon for our eat money are my friends that we stand next to every day. And I think that training can translate to Capitol Hill. And I have no problem working with people I disagree with or might not even like. I'm going to sit down and work with them. My tagline is, I don't want to fight, I want to fix. And I'm tired of all the fighting on Capitol Hill. I want to work with everybody. Once you get there, you're representing both sides, Republican and Democrat. But, I've done a lot more in this industry than just train racehorses. I'm the president of a horsemen's group, which is the largest horsemen's group in Kentucky. I'm on the Racing Gaming Wagering Corporation that oversees all gambling in Kentucky, whether it be sports gambling, whether it be charitable gaming, slot machines, whatever we're doing, HHR machines. And I'm on the board of the Health and Welfare Fund that manages all the welfare and the insurance that we give to the workers in the state of Kentucky. And in those aspects, I ended up working on with Frankfort, and I've been on Capitol Hill probably 6 times in the last 5 years working on issues related to what goes on in the backside and in our signature industry. So I've got a little bit of experience of doing it. And I think it's time that we get all the lifelong politicians out of the game and get some people with some real life experiences that understand what people need. I did grow up in Shelby. Like I said, I went to Butler High School, a very lower middle class family. Mother raised 3 kids, paycheck to paycheck. But I was able to get into our signature industry. My father trained horses on a very low level, and I built a big business and a pretty good career in doing so. And I think that I like to say I never went to college, but I've got a PhD in life, and I think I can take all those experiences to Frankfort and work for all of Kentucky.
It's a good line. I like that.
Kimberly, you have a question for Dale?
I sure do. I have like a 2-part question real quick here. Dale, look at how wonderful the people come from Butler High School. Myself, you, Lance, remember the magician Lance?
Yep.
In Vegas, he comes from Butler. All of us was together. But anyway, my question is, which is
Lance Burton.
Yeah, Lance Burton. That's right. We graduated. Yeah. So I'm very, very concerned right now about healthcare. So I have 2 questions for you real quick. One, on day 1, what are your thoughts and what are you going to do about this healthcare crisis that we're in? We're in a 911 emergency crisis with healthcare. The second question that I would like to ask is, with ICE and everything that's going on, we know that a lot of people work on the backside that are from various places, especially going south, Mexico, Guatemala, all these places. How has that affected ICE, affected that? And then I have a third question from Dr. Clarity, who's also a co-host on this show, but he's not on tonight. He wants to know about the Supreme Court's decision today on voting rights. How do you feel about that? So healthcare, ICE, and back on the backside, and Supreme Court decision on voting rights.
All right. With healthcare, the first thing we have to do as a country is take back the House and take back the Senate and put Donald Trump into a box, repeal the big ugly bill, get those tax credits back in place so people can get back on the Affordable Care Act to bring down the price of insurance. We gave up insurance for billionaire tax cuts, and we just have to repeal that bill, take all that money this all works together. You have to take all that money that was put in ICE and put it back in. And in saying that, I keep hearing about how bad the Affordable Care Act is. And, like I said, I've had as many as 250 employees. I haven't seen it being a problem. I saw it bring down premiums and hold them down. And they keep talking about repeal and replace, which has been backward from day one. If you come up with a better program, then replace and then repeal, and I'll have no problem with it. But the Republicans have years to come up with a better one and haven't done it. If they ever want to come into my office in Washington with a better plan and we can put it in place and it would be better for America, then I will vote for it, the Republicans all day long. So that's the biggest thing we got to do right off the bat is just repeal the big bill, get those tax credits back in place. They keep saying they're not sustainable, the tax credits, but $1 billion a day war seems like it's going to have to be sustainable. I think the health care for the United States, especially in Kentucky, we're going to be impacted more than any other state in the union with that big ugly bill. The second question, tell me again, I got a short memory.
With the Trump administration,
Okay, the immigration
Trump regime.
Yeah. The immigration issue is a big part of what I do working in the horse industry. And it doesn't matter what industry it is. You've got people that are good quality people that are paying their taxes, going to work, contributing to the American society, that are living in fear every single day of being ripped away from their families and taken away. And the only reason that they're here undocumented is because our system is so screwed up in Washington immigration system. I have to work with it on a regular basis. And that's one of the major issues that I want to tackle when I get up there because I really have a grasp of it. My organization, the HBPA, actually went to Andy Barr and asked him and wrote a bill. We had our law immigration attorneys write a great bill that was there's a 10-year exemption law that says if you've been in this country undocumented for 10 years, then you cannot apply for a visa again. That was a Clinton era thing that backfired, and that's one reason we have so many undocumented, because nobody can go home and come back like they used to. So we're going to suspend that. Then if you are sponsored by an employer that proves that he has a job that no American wants to do, and you can pass the vetting and you can pay your taxes, then you'd have an annual renewable visa. And that would bring all the good people out of the shadows. Now, anyone left behind that couldn't pass that vetting process and isn't sponsored and isn't here contributing would go after him, because Trump ran on the...
Oh, okay. A little bit of a technical difficulty. Dale, you there?
See what I'm talking about with the internet? You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Whatever happened with that? Come on, Biden.
I think Dale would be a proponent of shoring up our national internet infrastructure.
I'm gonna hang out with Dale because he's fun. He's more fun than y'all.
There we go.
He's back. And
he left.
Oh,
He's back.
Can we try it now?
Oh
no! We should tell our audience that Mr. Romans did not have access to a good Wi-Fi network as he had hoped. So his plan B was to use the phone, I guess, whatever he's using at the stage. Here we go.
Hello.
Hey.
There you go.
Anyway, Trump had ran on the fact he was going after criminals, murderers, drug dealers in this country. We'll go after the American ones and the illegal immigrants that are here. They're criminals, drug addicts, and murderers. But the way to separate it is you got to pull the good people out of the shadows. And then the second part of my plan would be when they get this renewable visa, there's a cost of living in America and doing business in America that they still have to pay in the Social Security system, which would help buoy up Social Security. The most of them are going to go home at the end. We're not talking about a path to citizenship. And that's one thing Democrats get harping on a lot that I disagree with, is that any bill that has to do with immigration has to lead to a path to citizenship. I know all these people. I know the majority of these workers. They aren't concerned about path to citizenship. They want to be here working. They're still proud of their country. They have a plan to feed their families in Central and South America, get to a point where they can get stable and head back home, most of them. And then so the first of my 3-step program, secure the border, which I will say this administration seems to have done pretty well. We do need a secure border. Then we get to documenting and stop deporting the good people that are here. And then we turn immigration into a temp service, basically, where anyone in the world can apply through this temp service and get vetted at that process. Then when an employer proves he can't hire an American, he has a job that needs to be done, we can basically apply to the temp service. And I say I need 20 grooms for the backside. They can send me 20 people that fit the type of person I need and send them to me, cut through a lot of the paperwork. And you can even charge the employer, just like a temp service does, a service charge for processing everything, and the program would pay for itself. And we review the entire visa system to make sure that every industry that needs an immigrant workforce, whether it be hospitality, whether it be agriculture, racetrack, construction, has the proper type of visa that fits their program. for instance, today in the horse business, only visas we can get for our employees are H-2Bs, which are 10-month visas. Well, horses eat 12 months a year. So it doesn't even come close to fitting the program. And you have to jump through all the hoops to prove Americans don't want these jobs. They don't have to do them. There's opportunity in this country. These are jobs they don't have to or don't want to do. And immigration reform ties into affordability, where if you can only pick half your crops, you're going to charge twice as much. So we need that level of labor force in this country to strive and keep costs down and get the jobs done that Americans don't want to do.
All right.
And the last part of the question you're going to have to help me with, because I've been out all day and I haven't heard the Supreme Court decision.
That was Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act was basically gotten rid of in a majority decision. That race, being able to draw majority minority districts, that was the one kind of slender reed that remained of the Voting Rights Act, and that was the Supreme Court threw that out. So there's about 20, I think, House districts that are kind of majority minority districts that were drawn to be that. Are now very much in question because Republican legislatures will quickly redistrict to get rid of those.
Yeah, see, we need to go and stop gerrymandering and make sure redistricting only happens on census years like it used to be. I mean, there was no law in place to do it, but it was a customary thing to do. We need to make that law so this gerrymandering doesn't take place for either side, because I mean, Democrats would do this, could possibly do the same thing when they were in office. And we need to make sure that it happens on both sides. Census years, redistrict, and that's it. And every 10 years. And as far as the rest of the Voting Act goes, I mean, it was a terrible act. And my passport's expired, and I couldn't find my birth certificate. He put a gun in my head, so I wouldn't be able to vote for myself. And if people got to realize this isn't about brown people showing up to the polls and I'm asking them where their birth certificate is or their passport. It's every single person that shows up. And how many people out there do, for one, have a valid passport, know where it is, or know where their birth certificate is? And it's being sold a bill of goods. I think a lot of people think it's just, if you look Hispanic, you got to bring your stuff, but I don't have to bring mine. So it was a ridiculous attempt to gerrymander again, and there's no reason for it. And I'm glad the Supreme Court struck that down.
Interesting. If we get the full, the SAVE Act is one thing, which is, I think, kind of what you're getting at. And that was one that didn't make it through the Senate, thankfully. But then you should take a look at the Voting Rights Act and what you think about that, because I do think that's a little bit.
You're getting me confused on it too. They got me so aggravated with all these acts that.
There's a lot going on. It's amazing. There's a lot going on, but very little going on at the same time, right? They've seen a lot of.
A lot of talk, a lot of chatter, a lot of wasted time.
Yeah. I think that's hard to dispute.
If you did that in business, you go bankrupt.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I know you've got a kind of a full dance card this week. We do have this question. You are, I would argue, a dark horse in this race. I don't know if that's an appropriate, phrase to use in the racing world, but I do think it. You haven't been on the scene. You're running against a bunch of people who have run statewide before, so they've got a bit more name identification. What's your strategy in this kind of final month to kind of close that gap?
Well, I think the debates have really shown who I am and that I can do this job. I think that we've done well there. And I think my commercial going up has done well. And we just got to keep trying to spread the word. I feel like we're closing fast. I just hope the wire doesn't come too soon. And I keep pitching. I really honestly believe I can win the general. I'm more worried about winning the primary than I am the general. I know Andy Barr, he's probably going to win the other side. I've dealt with him a lot in life, and I know I can outrun him. And we need a Democrat, no matter who it is. We need to get Democratic legislation to the floor of the Senate. And the only way to do that is have a Democratic leader. So we need 51 senators in that chamber so that we can get whoever, I wouldn't commit to who I would vote for leadership, but whoever is the leader can get our legislation to the floor. And I know I may not be as far left and as the people I'm running against, or a lot of the party. I call myself an independent centrist Democrat, but I will deal with the real issues that affect Americans and they affect Kentuckians. And I think I got a good grasp of how to do it, how to work with people. And I think that's the type of Democrat that can win over the Republicans we need and the independents that we need in this statewide race.
You make a good case. Appreciate your time, Mr. Romans. Thank you so much for the tip. I've written it down. I will be going to my online betting.
I will say I'm not a gambler, though. I'm going on record. I've been on the racetrack my entire life, and the first bet I made in 30 years was on sovereignty last year. So, and I haven't made one since. But I may make a little one this year on Bill again, since he's my good friend. And Kimberly, it was very nice to reconnect.
Dale, we are going to reconnect because you are right here where I am, because you are so fun, and I'm gonna hang out with you sometimes.
love to do it. Would love to catch up.
All
Excellent.
right.
Well, good luck on the campaign trail, and again, thank you for sharing some of your evening with us.
Thank you, guys.
There he was, Dale Romans, the final participant in our series of talks with the Democratic candidates. We've had Logan, we've had Colonel Pam, we've had Amy, we've had Charles, we've had them all, and all I would argue are the legitimate voices. And if you missed them, go back to our previous shows on YouTube, take a look, watch the interviews. I think they've all been fairly informative in terms of getting a sense of who these people are and why they're doing what they're doing. I think I appreciate all of them doing the work. That is no joke, running a statewide campaign of uncertain outcomes, and I think they're all doing stuff for interesting reasons. All right, any final thoughts, y'all?
I got one. I really like what he said about the immigration system, and as I think about it, that seems like something that could really work. It would be a win-win. It would be win to have the people come in, but he didn't mention like the great engineers and scientists and those in the technology field that come from other countries as well. Sometimes we use them because in the technology field, it has been said for a couple of years now by the top people of Apple and Microsoft and OpenAI and on and on and on. We don't have enough qualified individuals in America to fill all of the technology jobs. So that's another aspect to that. But do you know that my son's best friend, she's from El Salvador, and she's getting married. And so she just had a really, really big barbecue on Saturday. And a lot of her friends and family are from those areas, Mexico and that type of deal. And, I had to tell my son, make sure you take your birth certificate with you. And that's not to be, discriminatory or anything like that. But I cannot lie to you. Right now, ICE is for the brown people. And, if my little dark-skinned son is there, he might get rounded up too. So all of us have copies of our birth certificate. I've sent off for other originals of it so that other family members can have it if something happened, because this is the type of era that we're in. And I really liked what he said about immigration.
Yeah, an interesting take on it for sure. And glad to hear some kind of new thinking to some degree. Nate, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think any kind of attention you can bring to sort of immigration reform is good, and unless it's this kind of reform in the draconian direction. But and just to remind everybody, I think most of us know already, but there was legislation in Congress during the 2024 election, and Trump asked the Republicans to basically scuttle it so he would have an issue to run on, right? And they complied. Yeah. So it's like there are plans in place already. They just need the political will, the old cliche. We just have to have the political will.
For sure. One final thought that I had, I kind of skipped over because I wanted to get to Dale before he had to run. But I'm going to just take a moment to note that Jamie Luke is retiring from her role as editor of the Kentucky Lantern. As I said earlier, it's one of our favorite outlets, really paywall free. Yes. It's a nonprofit. It's doing this work for the right reason. Does a really good job of kind of unbiased but informative reporting. And we've had her on the show a couple of times since she helped bring this news source into the Frankfurt scene. So I wanted to thank her Wanted to wish her well in retirement and note how critically important the Lantern has quickly become if you care about politics in our Commonwealth. Also, we know she put the newsroom in caring and competent hands as Linda Blackford takes over. I was really sad when I read that Linda was leaving the Lexington Herald-Leader, which I pay for. And then I was incredibly relieved when I realized where she'd landed. I think she's going to do a fantastic job. And we will definitely invite her onto the show. And I remember we had actually booked her in when she was with the Lexington Herald-Leader, but then her editors thought we were just too partisan. So she wasn't willing to. She couldn't come on.
Well, she could come now.
Because now she's in charge.
Right. Remember, we said good things come to those who wait.
She can come on as the editor and tell us that we're too partisan.
Come on, Linda. We're waiting for you, girl.
All right. You want to close this out, Kimberly?
I sure will. It's been so fun tonight with you guys and Nate. Oh, Nate, I miss you, man. I miss you. So
miss you back.
To see you tonight. So glad to see you. And I promise, I give my word as a woman, I will be on camera next week because I'm getting my neck tightened up tomorrow and I'm going to get me a facial and stuff so I can look good and beautiful for you guys next week. I know you've been waiting for that, but Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State and organized as a 501c4. We are affiliated with the Indivisible Project and Common Ground Kentucky Action. And we're also proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is always to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Now, we will be back next week and we will be joined by a wonderful and amazing guest. We did finish up our Senate candidate series today with Dale Romans, horse trainer, very famous, and we'll have our usual updates on Kentucky political news with our own progressive views. Production of this episode, which I believe, Aaron, is at 2:57.
It is 2:57.
2:57. Oh my God. Oh, I feel old. We've been doing this for a minute. And just want to say thank you to Nate for helping out tonight and being on the show. Thank you, Aaron, for always getting everything together. I appreciate you. It makes it so easy for me because you guys do everything. I don't have to do anything. I just love it. It's, ladies' choice.
One thing I did not do, I have to admit, I did not update the final closeout. So we do have Senator Reggie Thomas next week. So that's
Reggie Thomas.
Yeah.
All right.
Returns to the show.
Yes. Now, Nate Orshan, our very own Nate, who I affectionately call Nate Dogg, wrote and performed our theme song. You can find more information and music at natosongs.com. Everybody should know this. Follow it. natosongs.com. If you miss our weekly live stream on Facebook or YouTube, audio podcast and our show notes are always available on Apple, Spotify, just about wherever you get your podcast. And when you do listen to us, I beg of you, I plead, I'm on my knees, please, 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 leave us a 5-star review. And that helps our algorithm. It helps us. And we thank you for coming here tonight. And we will see you same time, same place next week. And we thank you for joining Kernels of Truth. Have a good rest of your week.